Now, knowing you, I know that you're aware of the things that people are saying. You're moving up in two-weight classes. You're the smaller man. Whatever you do, Terrence Crawford, don't exchange against them. What do you feel you have to do?
Be myself. I'm 41-0 for a reason.
Stephen A.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career.
For more than 2 decades, everyone assumed that Floyd's 5-0 record would never be surpassed. He was the ghost in the ring, a defensive magician who made legendary appear ordinary. But after one historic night, a single explosive comment from the only guy who confronted them both threatened to down the entire monument. The debate was no longer just about who was better. It was a question of whether Mayweather's entire era had just been overtaken. The uproar began when Terrence Crawford raised his hand against Canelo Alvarez, following a spectacular performance in which Crawford accomplished what many believed was impossible.
Terrence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight.
The true shock came during the post-fight press conference. When pressed to compare Crawford to his former opponent Floyd Mayweather, Canelo did not hesitate. With the world's media glued to his every remark, he stated simply,
"If you can, compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terrence Bud Crawford, if you can."
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Coming from the only boxer on the planet who has shared the ring with both men. This was not merely an opinion. It was a stunning revelation that sent shockwaves through the sport. That one sentence sparked a long-running argument, which was about to be joined by a prominent voice. Stephen A. Smith, observing from the sidelines, was immediately enthralled by what he saw. He, like many others, expected Crawford to use his technical ability and stay on the outside to outbox the larger, stronger fighter, but that was not the case.
Well, I appreciate Crawford making my prediction come through. Coming into the fight, I had him winning by decision. I thought he was the superior boxer. I thought he would be able to take a punch. And as long as he didn't stay there and exchange with Canelo, I thought he could do it. What surprised me is that there were times during the fight, he did stand there and exchange with Canelo and took it. Took some body shots to the liver, took some headshots, exchanged, and still ended up winning this fight. I thought from the 8th round on, he just put on a boxing clinic. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. Crawford deserved to win the fight.
Smith was astounded that Crawford did not simply survive. He stepped into the fire and exchanged blows with Canelo, demonstrating that he possessed more than simply technique. He had grit. Smith explained, "What I didn't expect was for him to stand in there and exchange and survive. He did this on multiple occasions. And this is why he deserves so much credit." He even broke down the fight, saying he had it 5-4 in favor of Crawford after 9 rounds before Crawford went on a boxing clinic to win the final 3 rounds convincingly. He absorbed Canelo's power and lashed back, triumphing in situations where a smaller guy should have fallen.
Crawford's a special fighter because he's got a mean streak. He doesn't back up from anything. He's usually the superior boxer in the ring. He finds a way to win. No matter who he's going up against, no matter what power you have, what boxing skills you have, he is truly a generational kind of fighter. He wants to go in the ring and not just beat you, but show you he was a better man. And he's not one to believe that just a knockout does that. He likes outboxing you and showing you that his skill level is superior to yours. And he showed it tonight.
Stephen appraised it as a masterclass, but while he was highly pleased by the performance, he wasn't ready to dethrone the monarch just yet, since he remembered a different kind of master, a phantom in the ring that Crawford, for all his heart, was not.
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career with one hand. He constantly broke his hand.
Yeah.
He would go into a ring knowing he had no shot at knocking somebody out because his hands were hurt too much, and literally walked in the ring and said, I'm gonna embarrass you and humiliate you by showing the world you can't hit me.
This is where Stephen A. Smith drew the line, making an important distinction that altered the entire debate. He reminded everyone that Floyd Mayweather was a defensive enigma wizard whose primary purpose was to win without being struck. Floyd understood he couldn't rely on knockout power after his hands were notoriously frail and damaged in the second half of his career. This was not merely a theory. The issue was well documented.
Floyd Mayweather looks me in my face and he says, I'm gonna take him out about the 8th or 9th round. And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're gonna do this? He said, Stephen A., he's a UFC fighter. He said, and he's a striker. He's accustomed to coming at you and throwing punches. What he's not accustomed to doing is punching while he's throwing backwards, while he's moving backwards and pushing you off of him. He says, I'm gonna walk right into him and stay at his chest. He's gonna have to push me off in order to throw his punches. He said he's gonna be circling the ring. He said by around 4 or 5, he's not gonna have any legs. He's gonna be done. And he said, and I'll just toy with him and keep him around until around the 8th or the 9th round. And that is exactly what Floyd Money Mayweather did. He told me exactly what he was gonna do, and he did it.
He's the man.
Mayweather admitted his hands are extremely brittle and disclosed that he was unable to spar for a month prior to his fight with Conor McGregor due to injury.
You hurt your hand?
Right here.
Huh? I thought you hurt your hand. How about so? Okay. All right. Relax, baby. The job is done. All right.
Put in a bucket of ice, man.
Yeah.
Get a bucket of ice. Kill him.
I'm saying Shane hit me with a hell of a shot. Okay. Actually, 2 shots.
Oh, okay.
But even in that particular round, what I said to Shane was this. I was like,
You just said something to him when you grabbed him.
I said, you gotta kill me.
Oh, shit. I wasn't ready, Floyd.
I said that was a good one. I said that was a good one, but you gotta kill me.
Wow.
I said, you gotta kill me. And did I mean I'm not gonna lie. I meant it.
To add to the controversy, reports have long suggested that in the latter half of his career, Mayweather fought almost exclusively in Las Vegas, one of the few places that allows fighters to use numbing injections like lidocaine for hand pain, implying that his hand issues played a significant role in where and how he fought. Instead, he became untouchable.
Rocky Marciano was 49-0. Before Floyd got to 50-0, he was a heavyweight champ. Did anyone ever consider Rocky Marciano the GOAT? No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twist. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters than he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
Trainer Greg Hackett agreed, arguing that the Floyd who faced Canelo was a complete fighter with an unbreakable polished style, as opposed to Crawford's wilder approach.
I can't say he's capping. I can't, because I don't know what he felt. But when I heard that, what I think is, when Floyd beat me, I was 23, I wasn't polished. When Bud beat me, I was the man. I was the man. And he beat me fair and square. He beat me at my game and he beat me at his game. That's why Canelo said that. Do I believe that? It's tough to believe. But I can only take Canelo's word, because he's the man that's been in the ring with both of them. But I understand why he said it. I was a kid when I fought Floyd. He wasn't a kid literally, but he was young. He was young. There was a lot he didn't know. There was a lot he didn't understand about boxing that he later on learned and got better. But Bud beat the better version of me, even though it's the ran down version. I'm saying that because it is some wear and tear there with Canelo. I've been saying it the whole time. When a guy got almost 70 fights in current time, with all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's some wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying,
I don't know. That's what it gives it that air.
I also think you got to remember when you talking about a Mexican fighter, they big on punishment. He might also feel Crawford punches harder than Floyd and took more chances than Floyd took. Floyd really was super speed that night. Like, everything speed, and it irritated Canelo because Canelo couldn't do what he wanted to do, and he looked nothing like himself. Like I said, I think it was just times where Canelo felt like, damn, I could have had it. With Floyd, I think he felt like paralyzed. Like, damn, I can't catch this motherfucker. He too fast. But with Crawford, I felt like he maybe was saying, damn, I could have, if I would have threw this, or if I would have did that. You know what I mean? Because it was times Crawford sat there and caught a punch and countered back. You know what I'm saying? He let Canelo throw. Like, go ahead, throw your shit. He caught that shit, boom, and come right back with the hook. Same shot he caught Earl with. He was touching Canelo with some of that same shit, man. And it was just like, and it was times where Crawford was imposing himself on Canelo. He was stepping to Canelo at times. He didn't do it the whole fight, but I'm just saying it was times he stepped to him. Floyd did too, but Floyd just was so fast, so much faster, and the education was like totally different. Like when Canelo fought Floyd, Canelo was in middle school. He wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Floyd by that time was already a Harvard graduate. You know what I'm saying? So
in Stephen A's own words,
I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively, and we have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged, so he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring and put on masterful performances because he was so superior, skill-wise and defensively. You can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often because you couldn't hit him. That's the difference.
Crawford, on the other hand, received punches from Canelo. He demonstrated his chin and tenacity, but in Stephen A's opinion, the fact that he had to prove it was the only thing that distinguished him from Floyd. Before the debate could become any more heated, several people pointed out a simpler truth. The two fighters were products of different eras. It wasn't simply about skill, it was about eras. Terence Crawford accepted this with respect, saying, "Floyd is the best fighter in his era, and I believe I am the best fighter in my era."
He just got something that I want.
And it's not just the title, it's what else?
It's everything. He got everything, and I'm coming to get it.
When you beat him, you'll have everything.
That's right.
This viewpoint adds an important element of depth, implying that greatness is not a single straight path, but rather a title that belongs to the precise period in which a fighter prevails. The comparison is further complicated by the age element. Floyd's uncle, Jeff Mayweather, said that when Floyd faced a young Canelo, he was already 36 years old and past his prime. A detail that makes drawing a direct comparison between a peak Crawford and a seasoned Canelo extremely difficult.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 21? 20 what? 23? 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah,
but man, that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you're at 36.
It portrays the debate not as who is better in a head-to-head match, but as two kings ruling over two unique times in boxing history.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd, and I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I
Floyd
love you, Terry.
always figures it out.
Yeah,
He's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in
But
that
the
success
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an
Everybody-
OG somewhere.
Anybody
though.
else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody
somewhere.
got to pioneer,
They
right?
figure
Yeah,
out.
you got to.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
And I just
yeah.
believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
The discussion regarding their primes and defensive strategies is extensive, but one aspect remains undisputed. Terence Crawford has a remarkable record that Floyd Mayweather has never come close to matching.
In accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
By defeating Canelo, he became the first man boxer in history to be declared undisputed champion in 3 different weight divisions. The victory was so significant that one of modern boxing's most prominent personalities, Turki Alalshik, promptly declared Crawford the fighter of the century. To make this record even more impressive, while Mayweather won titles in 5 weight classes, he was never the absolute monarch, holding all 4 belts in any of them. Crawford, on the other hand, won every single belt in 3 different weight categories. It's a dramatic contrast that reveals much about their legacies. This was not luck, it was intentional planning. Crawford later detailed the intensity of his preparation, stating that his squad focused solely on strength, assuring his body was ready for whatever Canelo would throw. This feat etches Crawford's name in history with a distinction all his own, demonstrating that he dominated entire divisions in a way that even the great Money Mayweather could not. That the disparities in their careers were more than just the belts they earned. It was about the routes they took to get them. Floyd Mayweather was more than just a fighter. He was the CEO of his own legacy. According to expert Max Kellerman, once Floyd advanced from the lightweight division, his career became a textbook in strategic matchmaking. He handpicked his opponents, set the schedule, and oversaw every part of the company, ensuring that the risk always justified the profit.
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times.
This technique, however, has sparked criticism from the younger generation. Ryan Garcia, an active superstar, issued a stunning statement, claiming that Mayweather perfected the art of knowing when to fight and when not to fight, accusing him of altering the sport for the worst by avoiding boxes in their prime.
Y'all talking about this kid Ryan Garcia. Tank got his followers from kicking ass. Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
How did Javante know that my rib got separated while I was in the fight? Or before the fight? How do you think they got the information? You gotta pay. Who do you think told me that they paid? So I know how much money it takes to betray Ryan Garcia. I know a little glimpse.
Crawford, on the other hand, has been a force of nature, prepared to fight anyone to demonstrate his superiority. In a prime versus prime matchup, the physical statistics are evident. Crawford is 1 inch taller, but more importantly, he has a 3-inch reach advantage, which is huge in a technical boxing bout that even a great Mayweather would have struggled to win. His resume is extensive, but it is a well-picked collection. For years, fans and critics have seen him challenge the greatest, prepared to fight anyone and everyone to show his dominance. Aside from his fearless approach, pundits and former winners highlight his enormous physical advantages. As boxing legend Shane Mosley said,
I think Crawford is better. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. But Mayweather is definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, And Crawford, this is zero.
I think Crawford is superior. It would have been a tough battle, but I believe Crawford would have had an advantage over Mayweather because to his longer arms and size. However, Mayweather is undoubtedly taking a shot. As Crawford claims, Mayweather has 0, and Crawford this is 0.
Jordan, we're switching the back.
Huh?
We're definitely switching our back.
What? What you mean? No.
Don't stay with Canelo. We're going Crawford.
Be saying that.
While Mayweather was an architect designing a flawless, impenetrable castle, Crawford was a conqueror, marching into any territory and seizing it by storm. Despite Crawford's remarkable ascension, a vocal set of boxing critics refuse to accept the parallel. They claim their sole commonality is that they are both outstanding black fighters, yet stylistically, they are worlds apart. One analyst said it bluntly, Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather, they're both black. That's the only commonality they share. These critics note that Crawford seemed to enjoy the scrap. He gets struck, sticks his tongue out, and participates in fights. He fights with low hands on occasion and is willing to trade in the pocket. Mayweather's entire philosophy was diametrically contrary. He was faster, sharper, and had a defensive IQ that some call the best in history. According to some analysts, the continual comparisons are not a representation of reality, but rather of height, fueled by fans eager to anoint a successor to Floyd's throne. As if the in-ring debate weren't enough, the Crawford-Canelo superfight was fraught with intrigue and controversy. Before the first bell rang, rumors of a judging controversy surfaced. The officials assigned for the fight were the same ones that scored Manny Pacquiao's contentious draw, raising concerns that their scoring style might unfairly favor Canelo. The drama then spilled over into the world of high-stakes betting, with streamer Auden Ross facing a barrage of charges. Ross, who had $1 million bet on Canelo, was accused of insider trading after a mystery phone call allegedly caused him to move his bet to Crawford at the last minute. So that's it for today's video. If you loved it, remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell symbol so you don't miss any future videos. Don't forget to add your ideas in the comments box. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next